The autumn rain drummed against the leaded windows of Meister Wilhelm's workshop in the heart of Vienna's Old Quarter. Inside, surrounded by the gentle symphony of ticking timepieces, young Tsu bent over a delicate mechanism, his nimble fingers adjusting springs no thicker than human hair. He had discovered his calling by accident 3 years ago, when a broken pocket watch, inherited from his late father, had led him to this cramped shop tucked between a bakery and a bookbinder. What began as a simple repair had evolved into an apprenticeship that would define his life's work. "Patience, mein Junge," Meister Wilhelm murmured from his workbench, not looking up from the astronomical clock he was restoring. "Time cannot be rushed, only understood." The old clockmaker had taken Tsu under his wing with the reluctant affection of a man who had resigned himself to working alone. Wilhelm's previous apprentices had all fled to pursue more lucrative trades, unable to appreciate the meditative precision required to coax life from metal and crystal. But Tsu was different. He possessed an intuitive understanding of mechanical harmony that impressed even the master. More importantly, he shared Wilhelm's reverence for time as something sacred, not merely measured, but honored. The workshop occupied the ground floor of a 17th century building, its walls lined with clocks from every era: grandfather clocks that chimed the hours with Westminster melodies, delicate mantelpieces adorned with porcelain figurines, and modern chronometers that tracked seconds with atomic precision. Each told its own story of craftsmanship passed down through generations. Tsu's current project was particularly challenging, a 19th century carriage clock whose previous owner had attempted repairs with crude tools, leaving behind a tangle of damaged components. As he worked, separating each piece and cataloging its function, he thought of his father, whom he barely remembered, but whose steady hands had once performed similar work in a distant city. The bell above the shop door chimed softly as Frau Hoffmann entered, bringing with her the scent of fresh strudel from her bakery next door. She had become something of a surrogate grandmother to both men, checking on them daily with offerings of pastries and gossip from the neighborhood. "How goes the restoration?" she asked, peering over Tsu's shoulder at the scattered components. "Like assembling a poem," Tsu replied, holding up a gear worn smooth by decades of rotation. "Each part must find its proper rhythm with all the others." Wilhelm smiled at this description. The boy understood that clockmaking was as much art as science, a dance between precision and intuition that could not be taught from textbooks alone. As the afternoon wore on, Tsu found himself entering that meditative state that came with detailed work. His world narrowed to the gentle pressure of his tools, the satisfying click of gears meshing perfectly, the gradual emergence of order from chaos. Time seemed to slow, then stop entirely, as if the workshop existed outside temporal constraints. This was what he loved most about the craft, these moments when past and future dissolved, leaving only the eternal present of creation. In such instances, he felt connected to the long line of artisans who had devoted their lives to capture time's essence in brass and steel. The carriage clock began to take shape under his patient ministrations. First, the escapement, its delicate beat regulating the flow of power. Then, the train of wheels, each gear ratio calculated to transform the mainspring's energy into precise intervals. Finally, the hands, weighted and balanced to move in perfect synchronization with time's invisible current. As evening shadows lengthened across the workshop floor, Tsu made his final adjustments. With a gentle push, he wound the mainspring and set the mechanism in motion. The clock's voice emerged, a soft, confident tick that seemed to capture something essential about the passage of moments. Wilhelm looked up from his own work, listening intently to the new timepiece's rhythm. After several minutes, he nodded his approval. "Sehr gut. The clock breathes again." But for Tsu, the restoration represented something deeper than technical achievement. In bringing this broken timepiece back to life, he had discovered his own place in time's vast continuum. He was no longer simply measuring moments, but participating in their creation, adding his voice to the eternal conversation between past and future. That evening, as he walked home through Vienna's gaslit streets, Tsu carried with him the satisfaction of work well done. The carriage clock would soon resume its journey through time, marking hours for another generation of owners. And tomorrow, there would be new mechanisms to explore, new challenges to embrace, new opportunities to